So in that last one, we left it off where we still needed to install pip to make sure that all of our Django requirements were listed out. So I'm still in the secure shell, so make sure that you are connected to your server. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make a directory -p and the home/lib/python 2.7. So use this command directly, and this is going to create a folder for us. And then we're going to do easy_install -2.7 and pip. And this is installing pip for us. So it's going to download and install pip, and it's going to put us in that folder for Python 2.7, as you see here. That's actually what it did just there. All right, so now that we've got that, we can actually do pip 2.7 install. And this is now saying that this is allowing us to actually install pip or things from pip. So if we list everything out, we still have this requirements.txt. So if we did pip 2.7 install -r requirements.txt and press enter, it's now going to install all the requirements that we need. Django 1.8 is already installed, so we don't really have to worry about that, even though it is technically installing it again. But now we have Django Crispy Forms and Django registration. Cool, so now that we have pip installed, we're going to just go ahead and do Python 2.7. Remember, we have to type out Python 2.7 and manage.py and then migrate. So we press enter, and it looks like we have some different issues here. So auth user does not exist. So this is probably happening because of using our different things as far as Crispy Forms and registration. So let's actually comment those out first. So I'm going to go back into my production actual code, so the production.py file, and I'm going to comment out registration and Crispy Forms because we have them and they seem to be adding a conflict. I'm not actually positive if they're adding conflict, but I do see that it's saying auth user does not exist. That is saying that this does not exist, and I'm going to guess that it has to do with the registration. So let's go ahead and add in our base and production code again. So in Try Django, settings.py, our settings file, Try Django, settings. We're going to grab in base production, and of course we want to make sure that we have that DB password. If that changed, I'm just going to bring all of them in just to make sure that they're all there and they're all correct. So now they're all there. It should have actually did it, and looks like everything was successful there. Okay, so now I'm going to run Python 2.7 migrate again, and now it's actually running the migration. This time, though, it's not working on the actual database that we had set up in the base file, but it's working on that new database inside of our web faction account. Cool, so that's something that we absolutely love and want to see. The next part is going to be the static root stuff, and as well as the media root stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at the static root, where it's going to be inside of FTP. So if we go back to web apps, we have media MVP land static. We're going to make a couple folders here. We're going to do one called static root, and then another folder called media root. So these two folders are going to be, again, the same type of thing that we did locally, but this time they're going to be on our live version. So now that we have those folders, let's go ahead and list everything out inside of here, and we're going to just navigate to those folders. So cd back1, list everything out. This is not where we want to be. This is the MVP land, so we list back again. And now we see MVP land right here, static. So MVP land _ static. List everything out. And now we'll just do pwd here. So this is actually grabbing that. All right, so we have this copied, and we will now go over into static root. And I'm going to go ahead and just enter and comment these out. Paste this in. And we want an absolute path here. So that means trailing slash and then quotes around it, single or double, doesn't matter. Okay, so now that we've got this, we can do that exact same thing below for media root. Again, I'm going to comment that out. Change this to media root. Cool, so now we've got our media and static, all that stuff set up just as it needs to be. Okay. And then the next part would be uncommenting these Crispy Forms and registration out, because we do want those again. And I'm going to load back up our stuff for the settings. So So I'm going to go back into the settings folder and bring this stuff back. And again, apply to all, replace. And now it's done. All right. So now that we've got that, before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and go back into our project. So CD into MVP land and CD into source. Python 2.7 manage.py migrate. And now registration was created because that auth user was also created, which is good. That's what we wanted to see, right? We wanted to actually work, which is perfect. And now we'll do Python 2.7 manage.py, and I'll do create super user. So this is creating a super user. Notice our username is CFE deploy, just like our username on WebFaction. So you can call it that if you'd like. I'm going to call mine jmitchell3. Email address, use an email address that works, of course, here especially. And for me, I'm going to use it as that. And then you want to set an actual password that would be secure here. This is a production password. You don't want anyone to get this. So this is going to be definitely be very careful on this one. And you can put a very long one. I've heard people using lyrics as a super long password. So lyrics that they would remember, but are still a very long password, therefore hard to change. That is an idea for strong passwords there. So now I have that super user created, which is good. And I'm going to go ahead and do Python 2.7 manage.py collect static. So here, this is testing where my static files are going. Notice the location. That is exactly where that should go. So we'll type out yes, and it's loaded up. So let's scroll up. We see a lot of our admin stuff, but we also see static in pro. So in our project, all that stuff moved over to, including even the Photoshop file, which is something doesn't need to be there, but it is. So now that we've got that, we can go ahead and restart our server. So let's go ahead and go back, and I'll do .apache2/bin/restart. Press enter. It looks like our server restarted just fine. I'm going to go back into Chrome and refresh in here. And our static files are not being loaded. They're not being loaded at this point. So we're going to have to see why, but I'm going to go ahead and go into inspect element here. And we're going to go into the head. And we want to see where the static files are going. So static is going here. So this, in theory, should actually show it for us. But it's saying not found. So it's not being served by our project or by the website itself. So let's take a look at the website. And we see that it looks like it's actually should be being served, but it's not. So we're going to have to just take a look at this real quick. And we'll be right back on to see what's going on. And we'll actually do that in the next one. But what you see so far is this is actually here. It's actually working for the most part. The CSS isn't working, but everything else is. So if I logged in here, I could actually log into my user and $hash. There we go. And I logged in here. Yeah, I kind of gave you a little hint of what that password was with the last few things. Anyway, so we've got our signups, no signups because it's a brand new database. We've got registration profiles. We've got all that. Again, it's all new. Our site itself is we would want to change it to our actual site. So that's something that we'll also do very soon. So for now, we're going to leave this off and then we'll fix the static files in the next one.